From the creators of The Shucked Oyster, enter the dark surrealist world of Bloodmore, a new campaign setting for DriveThruRPG. Sign up at the link below to get notified for the Kickstarter launch on June 3rd. Welcome to the Black Lodge Games review of Modern Necessities by Viktor Gorchev. This is a really, really cool book. And this is not a complete game. This is a supplement that is meant to be used with old school essentials. So you do have rules for the things that are important to this game. It brings a lot to the table in bringing a modern setting to the game. A lot of different modern settings, by the way. But in order to play this, you actually are going to need something like old school essentials. Now, pretty much any OSR rule set is going to work fine with this. It does have ascending and descending armor class for all of the NPCs and the various enemy types that it brings in, but it's going to work best with old school essentials. And what's great about this is Modern Necessities is bringing things like firearms, cruise missiles, silenced weapons, dual knife fighting tactics, things like this into the game. So you can run a game that is in a setting that is more like something akin to the movie Bright on Netflix with Will Smith, which I actually really, really enjoyed. And you can run a game like that. Or you can do something like Delta Green, where you're out doing the Black Ops against the fishmen or the giants that are out there. You can do mission-based stuff. You can do things like running spy thrillers, like James Bond style stuff, Mission Impossible. It's really, really cool. The great thing is this is not using the old school essential rules to run games that take place in the normal world as we know it. This you could do that, but I think you'd be missing out on so much because this is actually blending fantasy and the more modern things like firearms together, and it does it in a really, really cool way. The aesthetics of this book are amazing. You're going to see a lot of incredible artwork in this. The production value on it is so good. It's massive bang for your buck, so I do recommend this. And if you're interested in running something like this in Shadowdark, Viktor has a Kickstarter open right now with late pledges for Blacklight, which is going to give you modern rules tuned exactly to Shadowdark, so you can use it to do SCP Foundation, Delta Green, creepypasta style games. We backed this, and we recommend you do as well. But you can use it with old school essentials, and you can use the monster encounter tables in here. You can use you can have characters that have been portaled through into Ravenloft, and you can run Ravenloft with this, but you're entering with like machine guns and night vision and stuff like that. It's really, really great. It works seamlessly in that way. It has rules expansions for things that obviously aren't in old school essentials, like how do you use firearms? How do you use rocket launchers and grenades and all sorts of stuff like that. This is not simply a Shadowrun clone or anything like that. It's very unique, and it works as a toolkit for you as a game master to make a unique, modern, and mythic setting that's gelled together. And it's got a sample adventure at the end. It's really, really good. This is one of the highest bang for your buck Kickstarters I've ever backed. We have 2 copies. I backed for the black and white soft cover version, which you can get on DriveThruRPG. And this is, it's phenomenal. As you'll see, the art in here is so good, and it hits a part of my brain. It's like that neuron activation meme, for me, because so much of this reminds me of the books that we had in my house when I was a kid. But I also, because Nick also backed this, I have the color version of this book. And this is in hardcover. So what is inside this, and the difference is there's no content differences. The only difference is that in the soft cover, the headings are all going to be black and white. The art is all black and white. This takes the aesthetic of having these kind of red headings and black and white text with black and white imagery. And there are some color illustrations in here as well. And they do look better in this version, I think, because when converting to grayscale, some of them, I think, ended up looking a little bit dark in the soft cover. I really like the soft cover, though. I'm kind of torn. I am actually torn because I like the red and black aesthetic. It looks amazing. It's actually kind of what inspired the look, that aesthetic in Makwahital, which is an excellent game. We've got a review of that on the channel as well. But I want to take a look at this simply because I want to give people a look at what the art is supposed to look like. But we will see that as we go through. And you can see here, first page, we've got this incredible illustration by Nolan Collins. He did the cover art as well. You'll see a bunch of pieces by this guy. This is the sort of thing that you can do in Modern Necessities, is you have someone in a military Humvee firing, a Ma Deuce at this giant this giant Wendigo that's coming towards them. It's awesome. But as you go through, you've got color illustrations. This first one, Don Goblione, and this is a basic expert piece. So you've basically got, the Godfather, but he's a goblin and he's surrounded by orcs and tracksuits. It's so good. So this is the sort of thing that you can do. You can make that setting like bright that you've always wanted to run, or something. You can do something more akin to Shadowrun. That would work better, I think, with the upcoming expansion to this called Cutting Edge. That's a stretch goal that's attached to this Kickstarter. And Victor, again, like I said, this was such a high bang for your buck Kickstarter, because you get the book, but you also get a bunch of other supplements if you backed at certain levels. There is a Wild West / Weird West version of this called Single Action. There is the cyberpunk futuristic reality one called Cutting Edge. There's a bunch of incredible expansions coming for this. And while I can't speak to Victor because I don't actually know the plans, I do think he's mentioned elsewhere that there might be a combined omnibus version of this at some point that has all of them. That is I think going to be probably an expensive book because it's going to be giant. It's going to be so big. But this alone is so good. You do need, like I said, old school essentials to run this, because you need the core rule systems for telling you how encounters work, encumbrance, all of that stuff is not going to change. But there are going to be new rules, and that's going to be in the very beginning. And this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about when I say that this stuff tickles my brain. It does the neuron activation meme for me, is that this reminds me so much of all the books that I had in my house growing up in the 90s, all these RPG books where you have this really dynamic, high contrast, black and white art of stuff happening. You've got these guys, he's dual wielding, you've got the shell casings popping out, you've got the pellets actually flying out of the barrel of the shotgun. It's we got an elf here, a couple of humans, and they're all doing something. It's dynamic. It's really, really cool. So this is everything about this, and this is one of the things where I think art really, really does matter in these games. I am the kind of person, if you give me a Word document with a cool game and rules written in it, I can run the game out of that. And if the game looks interesting and fun, I can do that. But having incredible art in your book, making it beautiful, and really communicating the tone of what it is really, really matters. And this book is absolutely packed to the gills with incredible stuff like this. None of it's AI. It's all handmade by human beings, and it's really, really good. And so you can see here, we do have the red headings. These will be black and white in the black and white version. But the first couple of pages are going to go over the new systems that you'll need to run Modern Necessities. These are just things that, Old School Essentials doesn't have, because Old School Essentials doesn't have machine guns in it until you get this gun. But you get rules for firing into melee, firing at melee range. So, if you have light firearms, it's a -2 to hit penalty to attack rolls, medium firearms, -4. So this is the sort of thing where, you're John Wick and somebody has an assault rifle and you get right up in their face. It's going to be much, much harder to actually hit someone at that range because you're struggling. It's really, really cool. Rules for concealment, firing from concealment, the noise that you make, because if you're not using suppressed weapons, you're going to attract a lot of attention. Wilderness weapon ranges, if you're doing hex crawls, this has a hex crawl at the end of the book. It's really, really fun. Going prone, dual wielding, rules for grappling, firearm jamming rules, which is great. And all of this is very, very simple. It's not going to be cumbersome in the game, but it is going to add a lot. Like firearms jamming. Firearms are precision instruments, and sometimes they jam up. When rolling a natural 1 on the attack, the referee may rule that the weapon is jammed. In this case, roll an additional 2d6 and consult the table for the exact results. Some characters may get a bonus to this roll. So this gives you sort of like a reaction roll. It's just a 2d6 table. You have this nice little spread of what happens and how long it takes you to clear the jam. So this can really, really make a difference. It makes fights very dangerous, unpredictable, and a little more, I won't say realistic necessarily, but it gives you the flavor of being in a firefight in a high-octane action game. And that's really what this game kind of allows you to do. This expansion allows you to do things running the movie Predator or John Wick or Bright, and allows you to do things like having mission-based gameplay where maybe you work for a criminal institution or a military organization and you guys are going out and you're doing something crazy. Like you could work for a government organization that works with the supernatural, and they could portal you into Ravenloft, and you can just run those old modules. You can do dungeon crawls, but using these rules and this really interesting stuff. Now, I think that might almost be kind of a waste of what you can do with this, though, because to me, the really cool stuff is that this rule set really kind of builds a really strong implied setting. And as you see with the artwork as you go through, I think that, just running Ravenloft, especially with a lot of the cooler classes in this, would be kind of a waste. It would be fun, don't get me wrong, but I think that this is the type of thing where you can use this and make an entire campaign and have a really fun and interesting world that's different than something that you're going to get out of simply out of running old school essentials with a campaign setting, or with the campaign setting that evolves through play that way. So again, we've also got two different skill systems in here. One is a D20 based skill system that essentially works like a saving throw progression, and they're kind of generalized skills, and so they might be things like demolition or military skills that your character might be familiar with that aren't exactly captured in the rule set. It's very easy. So just as your levels progress, your skill throws decrease in every category, and you roll over that number and you succeed on that. Alternately, there's a 2d6 skill system, and I actually prefer this because I don't like when everything is unified on the D20. I like rolling the other dice too. It's more fun. And there is a very simple system for this as well. It's a tiny bit more involved than just the skill throw system, but nothing in here is burdensome. This is all really small little modular things that are added onto the core of old school essentials in a very easy to use way. And again, we got the great art. We got this dark elf, the big titty goth GF dark elf with the pencil skirt holding the silenced MP5. What's not to love about this? Now, the classes section is excellent, and this is a fairly big portion of the book because it gives you a lot of options. And this is what I'm saying, where this kind of builds out this very cool implied setting. You have things like the crook, the detective. So you can have detectives. They all have their these different class abilities that they get, saving throw and skill progressions. The exorcist, which is awesome. You've got this guy in like a motorcycle suit with a sword. But this is one of my favorite classes, the face. Now you've got this dragon person, who's dressed to the nines like James Bond. The face character is your fast-talking, smooth-talking guy who needs to go in and do negotiations. You can literally, just taking some inspiration from this as well, you can do the sort of like, we're doing Casino Royale, so we're going to put this guy at the head. He's going to go and sit at the poker table or the baccarat table, whatever it is, smooth talk and play their way through this game and get one over on the bad guys. He's got a lot of really interesting powers. The cult of personality, this is awesome. The first impression. So this is what I would say is more of kind of like a standard ability for like a social class. When running into a potentially hostile creature, the face may add +1 to their NPC reactions modifier alongside their charisma bonus if they are the one to speak during an attempted parlay. They may also add this bonus to retainer negotiation rolls. You can hire people and specialists and all sorts of stuff to come along with you. But this is where it gets a lot more fun. Failure to communicate. If a parlay goes south and the creature spoken to turn hostile, the face may attempt to quick draw any melee weapon or light firearm to attack a single creature of their choice. The face rolls 1d6 and has a 4 in 6 chance to successfully draw an attack before anyone may react. If the subsequent attack is successful, the referee may roll for morale with a +1 bonus if the creature was injured and a +2 bonus if the creature was outright killed. If the remaining creatures do not flee, combat may proceed normally afterwards. This is a little bit like your Han Solo character who's sitting at the table and Greedo has him at gunpoint. He's trying to talk his way out. It's not going to work though. So he gets the drop on him and pulls his blaster and shoots the guy dead right there. This is really cool. This is a lot of fun because you can be the social character, but if you're playing by the rules, it's not always going to go in your favor. So you can just draw a weapon and stab someone or shoot them and get the combat going, and you basically get like a surprise turn turn against them. It's really, really awesome. But you've also got, you're better at bartering for things. You're a smooth talker at 6th level. The face gains a +2 bonus to their NPC reactions modifier instead of +1 from first impressions. Once per session, they may also re-roll a failed roll associated with one of their abilities, such as the first impression or barter. After reaching 9th level, the face may establish a business of their own, complete with staff suited to their outgoing personality. This could be a nightclub, a brothel, a casino, or any other establishment involving heavy socializing. This establishment will provide both a steady income and opportunities to entertain and mingle with valuable members of the local society. So this is awesome. I really, really like this. Every single one of these classes has a lot of flavor. You have more military-based versions. The heavy gunner is actually, obviously going to be using things like shotguns and, belt-fed machine guns. The hired killer, if you want to be a hitman, you can be your kind of your Leon the Professional or John Wick. Martial artists, the medic, if you're doing a more military campaign, ninjas. Oh man, this, like I said, this stuff reminds me so much of those games. It's like just gets my imagination going, because this is the sort of stuff that I grew up with in the house. Like all of these different role-playing games that I never actually had the opportunity to play, mostly outside of D&D, because I was too young and too stupid to figure out the rules. But this stuff was so inspiring to me. I would just dream up all of these imaginative scenarios based on the art in here. And it takes me back. It's really, really crazy. You've got the Psychonaut, which is excellent. The Sapper, again, excellent artwork. The Scout. This stuff is so good. I keep stopping because oh, that's awesome. Every time. Secret Agents, awesome. Snipers. You've got Soldiers. This is a Carlos Castillo piece I think is really, really good. The Survivalist. This reminds me a bit of, I think his name is Bert. I can't remember, from the movie Tremors. Like you could run Tremors with this, which is awesome. You've got all these different criminal classes, the tech expert, so you can be a hacker. You've got a treasure hunter. This is your kind of Lara Croft or Indiana Jones / Nathan Drake. The vigilante, of course. A wheelman. This is so great. Speed demon. A wheelman can operate any vehicle with a +10% bonus to its maximum movement rate. Grease monkey. When repairing a vehicle with a wheelman taking the lead, repairs restore 2 hull points per turn instead of 1. Requires a toolkit or workshop. And gone in 60 seconds. A wheelman attempts to successfully break into and hotwire vehicles that do not belong to them. This requires thieves' tools. A roll is required to break into the vehicle if locked, and then another to hotwire it. Some vehicles may be broken into with simple force instead. So you can do your gone in 60 seconds characters. And this game, it also has rules for vehicles, which is awesome. We have the different racial traits. So if you're running a modern game and you want to use dwarves and elves and gnomes, etc., you're going to have some kind of different racial modifiers along to go with that aren't going to be, they're changed to be a little bit closer to what it should be in a world like Bright or a modern world. So it's just going to be a little bit different than old school Essentials. I love this picture. This is what I'm saying. This book is so good, man. I can sit here and just stare at all of this. This is another Nolan Collins piece where you've got these spec ops guys with shotguns blowing apart like literal devils and demons. It's so cool. Lots and lots of weapons. So this is the part where you get to the equipment lists. And this is going to give you all of your different types of melee weapons and your ranged weapons and all sorts of cool shit. Like you've got the Ninjato, the shorter katana-like weapons popularly used by mall ninjas. Katanas, cane swords, stun batons, fire axes, pistols, magnum pistols, big game pistols, sawed-off shotguns, machine pistols, service rifles, hunting rifles, lever action rifles, assault rifles. This is a cornucopia of firepower. So pretty much and this is, again, all of this stuff, all of these pieces. It's like this. I feel like a kid again seeing all of this. This is exactly the sort of things that was in all of these books that I had as a kid. It was so great. Heavy firearms like the anti-material rifle. This is going to be like a 50 caliber sniper rifle, things like that. Heavy machine guns. You have another excellent basic expert piece in color that is like fantasy heat. It's like you've got like the Val Kilmer character and they're sitting there fully kitted out AR-15s, optics. It's so great. You can run heat, but with like magic. Rocket launchers, stationary weapons like mortars, heavy mortars, automatic grenade launchers, field guns. You've got them fighting the fucking Nephilim out in Afghanistan, just blowing a hole through this giant. And this is the thing, is it's like a lot of this artwork, it's sort of like what you see in old school Essentials, where the characters, they're on the ropes. You know, it's not like, oh yeah, we've got machine guns, therefore the monsters are just like wrecked. Therefore, it's like, no. You hit, they used a bazooka on this giant and it's still coming to get them. Yeah, you got guided military, artillery barrages, cruise missiles, nuclear strikes are included. So many explosives. Like think about how many fucking monsters you could kill. Think about going into a dungeon and you know that there's monsters in the next room and you're throwing flashbangs at them and stuff. Like, this is so cool. Oh man, I love this stuff. I love these illustrations. You've got, and just attachments for your weapons. If you like guns, this is the book that you need. Firearms modifications and ammunition. And this is really cool too, because the ammunition types aren't just, oh, it's hollow points or it's armor piercing, or, you know, you've got dragon's breath rounds. All that stuff is in here, but you've got a lot more interesting stuff because this is bringing in magic into this. Like we said, we've got magic bullets infused with arcane energy. Magic bullets damage creatures otherwise immune to non-magical attacks. Ultraviolet rounds. These glass-tipped rounds are filled with a special ultraviolet liquid. UV bullets will damage creatures vulnerable to sunlight. Creatures hit must save versus death or take the weapon's listed damage as splash damage. A successful save indicates the target suffers the damage as normal. Vorpal ammunition. Heat ammunition. Flares, smoke, tear gas, incendiary. You've got everything. You've got, oh, this is so cool too. The dwarven firearms and the halfling firearms, these all function differently. And it's not, these are firearms like made for these different races. Because if you have a halfling, they're going to be much smaller. They're not going to be able to use giant weapons that like maybe like an orc or an ogre or something might use. They're going to need something smaller. So being a leisurely, rural-oriented race, halflings never had much use for combat weaponry. Instead, their firearms design is largely geared towards the target shooting, hunting, and self-defense against hostile creatures like wild dogs. Like gnomes, they also tend to design these firearms with their own size in mind. Halfling firearms have the following benefits: +1 bonus to 2d6 jamming rolls, suitable to be wielded by small races. Halfling firearms have the following disadvantages: +2 to reload chance to a maximum of 5 and 6, and non-small users take a -2 penalty to hit. You've got elven firearms, lawful, neutral, and chaotic firearms. So there's guns by alignment type, just tons of different armor. And this is another, I think must be a basic expert as well, but you got like a tactical team, but they're also wearing plate mail. Like, I love this. He's got this assault rifle and this bucket helmet, you know, it's so good. Sneak suits and combat armor, exosuits, tons and tons of different equipment. So this is a giant toolkit, and it says a lot about the kind of world that you can run in this game. I love this one again. This also having a scope on a 1911, that is exactly the kind of stuff I remember seeing, where people, it's like, yeah, we put a scope and a laser sight on like this giant, you know, like 357 Magnum. You know, it makes very little sense. I know you can put scopes on firearms, and people have done that, but this is the sort of artwork that I remember as a child, and it's so good. And then, of course, you've got magic items, magic firearms, tons and tons and tons of stuff that you can recover. Like I said, there are vehicle rules, and this I love as well. I mean, a dragon wrecking a helicopter, you're seeing from the inside of this helicopter, they've got a minigun that they're using to just rain down fire and terror on everybody. Lots of different pieces of technology. He's got the new magic systems in here as well. Technomancy, like this one, this spell called Finger Guns. Duration is 12 hours. Range itself, basically. Caster. The caster gains the ability to fire phantom bullets from their fingers when holding their hands in the shape of a gun and loudly saying pew. This finger gun does 1d4 damage and has a range of 20, 40, 60. It does not require reloads. The damage increases by +1 per level of the spell past the first. So you can just go pew, 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 and you're actually shooting people. It's awesome. So there's a ton of these. So the thing is, you can still use the magic from Old School Essentials as well. You can do floating discs and all of that. You have all of the access to this. This is just on top of the stuff that you have here. And your enemies can still use the arcane spells and the divine spells from Old School Essentials as well. And what would a modern setting be without psionics? Of course, you need to be able to use your mind to do all sorts of things. Another wonderful color piece by the Basic Expert, where you have this disgusting, evil tiefling thought who's killed everybody. This demon thought while she's taking a selfie. It's just awesome. And then this is a great section. This is the NPCs section. And these are basically, it's going to be kind of like your new monster manual. And you can use these exactly in parallel with the monsters in Old School Essentials. The only thing I would have liked to have seen with this would be coming up with kind of random encounter tables and things for the monsters here. You can use the encounter tables from Old School Essentials, and I would recommend that you do, because it's a lot of fun to run into monsters and gun them down. But I would have liked to have just seen some encounter tables that included these sorts of things, even if it was just mixing and matching, putting in hitmen with orcs and things like that. But you can basically take these NPCs and you can add racial traits to them that are discussed earlier in the book and modify them to be in line with whatever specific monster type you want to use. So you could have a hitman giant, that sort of a thing. But they're an excellent starting point, and there's a whole bunch. There's a ton of different military variants you can use. I love this, the law enforcement section. This is one of my favorite art pieces in the entire book, is this Cyclops in riot gear. He's got a tear gas gun. It's so good. SWAT officers, detectives, the sheriff, the hunter, just tons, robots and stuff like that. Again, this gives me like a big Shadowrun vibe here. And then all the people that you can hire. And so these are mercenaries and different people that you can bring along with you. There is a section of these different extra rules that you can add in. These are optional, things like bleeding, multi-attacks, and some other stuff, which is really good. I really like the inclusion of this. Injury tables, where you roll a d20 and you see basically what terrible thing happened to you. Internal bleeding until you're healed. Damaged larynx, that's permanent. A broken arm or hand, it takes 2d4 weeks to heal. Stress mechanics, loot tables, which is excellent. All of the cool magic items and regular items you can actually see and go through and earn through play in the same way that you would be earning treasure in Old School Essentials. I love this one as well. This guy, it's like, it has to be an orc or something. I'm not exactly sure, but he's got tusks, so he's obviously not human. But just walking through the street with a Desert Eagle and a sawed-off shotgun, it's just brilliant. Think about this. This is the kind of thing that you can do. You can run your gangland mafia style thing with this game. It's really, really good. Werewolves coming out. I fucking love this one. This is another Nolan Collins. It's so good. All these different loots. This one is good as well. I love this. And then this is towards the back of the book. This is great. This gives you tons of adventure ideas that are so fun. My favorite being the Nephilim. The party is a military unit sent to track down another team that has gone missing while on patrol deep in the mountainous terrain of the Hindu Kush. Finally, upon tracking them to a remote plateau, the party finds evidence of something gone terribly wrong. Weapons and equipment are found scattered all over the place, smashed to pieces and torn apart. As they investigate the carnage, they soon hear a loud roar of something giant and angry bellowing from within a nearby cave. Kind of a hook that you can use to basically, like that picture of the giant getting hit with the rocket launcher. Bring that in. But you've got a ton of these. These are real, and they're all really fun and really interesting, and they're small. So they're meant to be just like these bits of inspiration for you to jump off of and get your game started. And they're really, really fun. Payday. The party is a unit of down-on-their-luck mercenaries seeking one last payday before retiring from a life of war and violence. Hearing rumors of a hidden stash of gold buried in a war-torn region by the recently deposed president for life, they decide to infiltrate an active war zone and claim the loot for themselves. Determined to strike it rich or die trying, they must contend with the coalition forces, hostile militias, and shady intelligence agents. Some of them vying for the same treasure even as the war quickly ramps up. Conflict baked right in. This is great. This is not just some rumor. We've got multiple factions competing over the same resource. It's a race to get there, but you've also got this active hostile war zone. This is awesome too. Who doesn't want Nosferatus coming up and tearing your eyes out and tearing your throat out? I love this. It's so good. But this is at the end. This is the last kind of section. You have Assault on Blackfang Tower. Tower. Now, this gives you an overview of kind of the world setting. It's very, very small and an adventure premise, and then goes into a keyed hex crawl. I love this picture as well. This elf chick in this mashed up universe. You've got universes colliding where the magic and the surreal and the real have all blended together. It's really, really good. But you go through and it's got the important NPCs, the layout of the town, keyed areas of the hex map. So you've got this is a fairly substantial hex crawl that you can do. And this is the version of the map that does not have the hexes on it, but it's got all the keyed areas, all the different numbered areas. You've got this tower where Squinty the sniper is. You've got a layout of the tower. And then you have a version that's for the players that doesn't have the areas listed. And then finally, and it's this great little isometric map. I love it. Finally, you do have it with hexes. So as you move through, you can actually just use the hex crawling procedures, and you should, from Old School Essentials. It's awesome. And so, oh man, this is great too. Look at this. Look at this. This is, he's got to be he's an orc butcher. And this is just slice of life, you know. This it's so good. It's Nolan Collins. This artist is so good. Anyway, this is that's Modern Necessities. That's what this offers you. This offers you everything that you need to play an incredible fantasy campaign mixed with the awesome things that come along with a modern setting. Machine guns, magical bullets. You've got all these different classes, so you can run really kind of interesting action movie style stuff, you know, and you can turn this into a long kind of story-based campaign if you wanted to. But the brilliant stuff about this as well is that you've got everything you need to run kind of mission-based campaigns as well, if you just want to do that, like kind of self-contained episodes with any sort of organization you would want, whether it's, you know, like gangland activity or law enforcement or military or just anything. If you could be like a secret society of like psionicists and wizards, you know, doing things in this blended world of fantasy and reality. It's the sort of thing when people say like, oh, it's like modern fantasy. It's like, this isn't like Neil Gaiman stuff. This is orcs with mithril plated tanks. You know, this is the sort of stuff that if you wanted to run like Stalker, whether from the video game or a roadside picnic, more from like the actual source material, this is what you would want to use it with. And in fact, that is what I will be doing with Stalker, the sci-fi role-playing game, because this is a game that I love. This book, it's a different game. It's an incredible setting, just incredible setting, and it gives you so much to work with in doing this kind of modern game, but has no rules, basically. It does have rules, but it's a diceless system, and it's something that I ran a couple of times, and it felt so wishy-washy, and I couldn't get into it enough, even though the setting is something that just sets my imagination on fire, but it doesn't have good enough rules. So I want to run Stalker. I have wanted to really run it for a long time, and now I can, because now I have an actual rule set that can give me, you know, ways of adjudicating outcomes that I can use with Stalker, because Stalker is a modern dungeon crawl, essentially, through a hostile, modern, warped reality. And I have finally found something that I can pair with this game, because this is just awesome. And this also, it fits with the art style. You know, it's that same kind of awesome black and white early 90s weird gritty stuff that I just adore, but I can finally make use of this book in a way that actually makes sense. So Modern Necessities, like I said, requires a core rule set, but it's an expansion to a very, very good rule set. And I can use Old School Essentials now to run Stalker, the sci-fi role-playing game. And this is another thing, is that I haven't really been interested in running Old School Essentials. And it's not because it's not a good game. I think it very clearly is. And people have a ton, there's so many modules for it and so many compatible things with it. But I already have a bunch of fantasy games, and I got this after I already had a bunch of fantasy games. I now have a compelling reason to use this book because I have Modern Necessities. And this is a really good supplement for Old School Essentials. So much so, such a good supplement for Old School Essentials that I now have a reason to use Old School Essentials instead of just having it on my shelf. So Victor, you are awesome. We love this. We highly recommend this. I give this like 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 for the specific purpose that this is of running modern games using an old school rule set. This is just awesome. I don't think that there's anything else out there like it. Nothing really comes close in my opinion. And you can tell the absolute love that went into this, the love for role-playing games and for munitions and all of that cool stuff. So I highly recommend Modern Necessities. Definitely go check it out. It's available on DriveThruRPG right now, and there's a lot more to come from Viktor Gorchev.